In this extended narrative documentary, we travel through the greatest conflict humanity has ever witnessed, World War II. Over the next 2 hours, you will see the roots of the conflict, the rise of extremist regimes, the collapse of nations, the resistance of peoples, the fiercest land, sea, and air battles, the Nazi camps, the atrocities, the secret weapons, espionage operations, betrayal, heroism, despair, hope, and the nuclear explosions that ended everything. You will hear stories rarely told. A mother crying over her child beneath the rubble, a German soldier writing his final letter to his beloved, pilots falling into burning seas, and leaders giving orders that would shape the fate of millions. Before we begin, we invite you to support the channel by subscribing, liking the video, sharing it, and commenting on the moment that affected you the most in this documentary. Europe in the 1930s was a continent searching for itself, a shattered economy, unemployment, and anger filling the hearts of millions. In Germany, the wounds of the previous defeat were still bleeding. Poverty lined the streets, and people searched desperately for hope. Hitler emerged with fiery speeches, promising to restore German glory and blaming others for all suffering. In Italy, Mussolini was building a strict fascist state. In Japan, the empire expanded across East Asia, seeking resources and dominance. The world was marching toward a global conflict without realizing the true scale of what was coming. On the 1st of September 1939, the war began. German forces stormed Poland with Blitzkrieg tactics. Tanks advanced like a storm, and dive bombers screamed over cities and villages. Polish forces tried to resist, but the German superiority was overwhelming. In Warsaw, families fled their homes as air raid sirens echoed through the streets. After only a few weeks, Poland fell, and the world stood at the edge of a long and devastating war. In the following year, 1940, Germany invaded Denmark and Norway with astonishing speed. Then came the turn of France. Using a bold strategy, German forces advanced through the Ardennes forests, an area the Allies believed impossible to cross with tanks. The French army collapsed rapidly, and German troops entered Paris with little resistance. Europe fell under the dark shadow of the Third Reich, and Britain stood alone against the rising storm. The Battle of Britain began. The skies above London turned into a daily inferno. German bombers attacked the cities relentlessly, while civilians hid inside underground shelters. British pilots, despite being outnumbered, fought with extraordinary courage. Their unspoken motto was, "This homeland will not fall while we are in the sky." In the end, Hitler failed to conquer Britain, his first real defeat. On December 7, 1941, Japan launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. Massive explosions rocked the American base, and ships burned in the harbor. The attack was devastating, but it brought the United States into the war, a turning point that changed the fate of the world. The conflict was no longer European. It had become truly global. On June 22, 1941, Hitler launched Operation Barbarossa, the largest land invasion in the history of warfare, targeting the Soviet Union. The battles on the Eastern Front were beyond imagination: freezing temperatures, starvation, and brutal fighting. The siege of Leningrad lasted 900 days of hunger and death, while Stalingrad became a living hell. Streets were filled with corpses, buildings destroyed, and soldiers fighting for every inch. After 5 months of savage combat, the German Sixth Army collapsed, an event that turned the tide of the war. In North Africa, the Desert War raged. Rommel, the German commander known as the Desert Fox, achieved remarkable victories. But the Second Battle of El Alamein stopped him. British tanks surged forward, and the balance of power shifted dramatically. Churchill declared, "Before Alamein, we never had a victory. After Alamein, we never had a defeat." Eventually, Axis forces in Tunisia surrendered. Meanwhile, in the Pacific, the Battle of Midway reshaped the war against Japan. The U.S. Navy destroyed 4 Japanese aircraft carriers. Then came the brutal Guadalcanal campaign, where soldiers fought in dense jungles filled with disease and death. It was a primitive war: knives in the night, ambushes between trees, and battle cries echoing through the darkness. As Allied forces advanced, American and British bombers launched massive air raids on German cities. Hamburg, Dresden, Cologne. Entire cities were reduced to ash. Fires consumed entire neighborhoods, and buildings collapsed over the people inside. Meanwhile, the Nazi concentration camps revealed unimaginable horror. Auschwitz, Treblinka, Dachau. Places forever etched in human memory as symbols of darkness and cruelty. On June 6, 1944, the Normandy landings began, the largest amphibious operation in history. Thousands of ships crossed the English Channel while soldiers stormed the beaches under relentless gunfire. The sea turned red, but they pushed forward. France and Europe began to break free from Nazi occupation. By early 1945, the Red Army reached Berlin after brutal urban combat. Constant shelling, destroyed streets, and soldiers fighting to the last bullet. On April 30th, Hitler committed suicide in his bunker. A week later, Germany surrendered. But the war was not over. On August 6th, the United States dropped the first atomic bomb on Hiroshima. An entire city vanished in seconds, and people became shadows imprinted on walls. 3 days later, the second bomb fell on Nagasaki. On August 15th, Japan surrendered, and World War II officially ended. After 6 years of bloodshed and destruction, the world entered a new era. Empires collapsed, new powers rose, the United Nations was founded, and the Cold War began between East and West. Yet the memory of World War II remained a painful reminder that tyranny always leads to ruin, and that peace is more precious than any victory.